Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but it's great to sort of see you. It's a little hard to see you through the little camera, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the work we've been doing. Patrick alluded to some of it in his talk with respect to quantum education on both sort of the research side, but also development of programs and courses. And what I really hope to get from all of you before the end of this is some thoughts about sort of where you're at and what you need in thinking about your quantum education. So Patrick talked about this as well, like all of the things that are coming, the kinds of quantum work that can be done and will be done in the future. The computing that will allow us to do drug development. There's economic implications to how we approach that. There are biology bits that, as we learn more about quantum, are important, as well as a lot of the physics and engineering and sensing pieces. And Patrick had a really nice discussion of some of those. As an astronomer, seeing pictures of LIGO is always fun. It's really an incredible instrument that makes use of some of these quantum principles that he talked about. And so he talked about, and I'll show it another piece of that paper that he was involved with in a minute, what industry is looking at in terms of future jobs. But another group at the University of Colorado surveyed industries that currently employ people in quantum to try to get a sense of who the employees even are right now as things are getting set up. Or this was actually 2020, so it's already a couple of years old. But even as of 2020, there was a range of jobs and levels at which industry was employing people in quantum. I mean, there are the PhDs in physics and engineering and computer science, as you might expect. But what I want to point out in the right-hand chart here is you can see that bachelor's in engineering and physics and computer science and chemistry and math were all already categories in which industry was hiring people even a couple of years ago. And as you'll see in a second, that's only grown and is only expected to grow more in the coming years. And the left-hand plot just is a different way of breaking this down, showing the various subjects and the degree level at which different types of jobs were existing in those companies, from technician to engineer, experimental scientist, some of the green, theorist, application researcher in yellow. So again, there are a variety of these. And I think in things like chemistry and math, and probably in the future in biology and some of these other topics, we're going to start filling in those squares. And I suspect even since this work has done, it's been filled in more than exists here. So this is from the same paper that Patrick showed. What it's showing on the left is the number of companies hiring a range of jobs, computational chemist, control systems engineer, error correction scientist, a whole slew of different types of job descriptions and how much they expect to hire. And this was 2021. So again, it's already changing, but in the next 2 years in orange and 3 to 5 years in blue. So again, significant amounts of hiring in the next few years. And what you can see on the right is the level at which they expect those jobs to exist. And I want you just to notice how much purple there is on this plot to the right, which is bachelor's level employment. So there's expected to be quite a significant fraction of jobs at the bachelor's level. The red is master's, which is, as you'll see, part of why we've looked at developing master's programs, and green is PhD. And then blue is just sort of equivalent years of experience. So again, lots of different jobs expected to be coming available at a range of levels, depending on where you're at. So that's to say that, we think these things exist. This is why we're building these programs and thinking about how we prepare students for them. So what are we doing in education at Mason? You can see a whole slew of people involved in these efforts along the bottom here, and we're working across efforts at K-12, undergraduate, and graduate. Most of what I've been included on, excuse me, on this slide are things that already exist, but there's a lot that's underway as well. So at K-12, we've been working on trying to develop experiential learning opportunities for students and teachers, curriculum development and professional development for teachers. And this is work that's going to accelerate a lot over the next year plus. We just got some funding from Congress, actually directly from Congress, that will be coming in shortly to really grow these K-12 programs and think about how we can embed some of these quantum ideas in the K-12 classroom so that students know more about quantum as they start to think about careers. The undergraduate level, I think Patrick mentioned our Introduction to Quantum Computation and Quantum Information course that exists. There are also research and internship opportunities, as he says, join a research team. Let us know if you're interested. And we're thinking about the development of courses based on sort of education, research-based best practices. So we're really thinking about how to grow this and what direction to grow. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. On the graduate side, that quantum computation, quantum information course exists as well. This is, of course, taught by Dr. Tien, and is really just requires linear algebra, which I should say, it's, again, for the undergraduates in the room as well. We also have this new master's track within the physics degree in quantum information science and engineering, and hope to expand that into other degree programs over the next few years, but also ultimately into a interdisciplinary degree. And also for this, there are internship and research opportunities. And as a research team, we're really interested in understanding the factors motivating students to pursue quantum careers and identifying best practices for implementing quantum in a wide range of classrooms and education settings, right? What works best in helping students learn this stuff, be prepared for the workforce, and motivate them for those careers. So we strongly believe this is something that should be accessible to everyone. And we know that creating a diverse workforce in quantum is going to be a challenge because the students and people involved in the fields that have generally fed into quantum have not been the most diverse. We're sort of fighting that problem as education specialists within physics and computer science and engineering along the way. And so we want, as this new discipline opens up, making sure that we think hard about how to engage and pull in students is important so that we don't reproduce some of the challenges that exist already in these fields. And so one of the things that we're thinking about, we did a survey at Mason of about 160 students across STEM disciplines to try to get a sense of how students generally are thinking about careers and what's important. And one of the things that we found, and I think this will be important as we develop programs, and is that some of the important factors for students as they think about careers are that they want to help others, learn new skills, and use their talents. Job security is also important. And so all of these are pieces that I think quantum is, hits on very effectively, but how we communicate that and make sure all of you understand how quantum actually feeds into these sort of desires for career is going to be really important. The other thing that we found in doing this survey is that, all of you in this room are probably exceptions relative to your peers, and hopefully, certainly after this event, you will be, because when we surveyed students and undergraduates in particular about quantum, most of them said they knew nothing or only a little bit about quantum. So there's a lot of education to be done in making sure people know what it is, why it's exciting, why we want to do this, because at the same time, a fairly large fraction said that they're interested in pursuing a career related to quantum. They're intrigued by this, even though they know very little about it. So that information piece is really important. And the other thing that we need to make sure we're conveying, and I can convey to you today, right, is there are careers that do not require a PhD. So I want to make sure we drill that home, because that was something that came up as we talked to students, that most think, oh, well, you must need to have a PhD to get involved in that, that it's just hard, that you have to be really smart, hopefully for all of you, right? Most of us are more average than anything else, right? It's something we can all do, and we want to get people involved in whatever your talents are, because I think there's a wide range of talents required in this field in order to pursue it and be successful at it. And so one of the other comments that came out was that having accessible classes and accessible materials really important. And this is where currently we have Dr. Tian's course, which only requires linear algebra. So I put that out there. And we're thinking about the development of additional courses and things that will be even more accessible to students. So overall, we're working to really think about how to build a diverse workforce in quantum. It's going to take work. And how we engage students and help them understand why this is exciting and what opportunities are available. Hopefully you can all be emissaries for that to your peers. And figuring out how to convey that this is something people can do without too many barriers in the way is going to be really important. So I'm going to go kind of backwards in order here of level. But for graduate students, currently, as I said, we have this quantum information and computation course with only linear algebra as a prerequisite. So if you're not a physicist, that's okay. It is listed as a physics course, but we hope you'll take it, even if you're not in physics and you're interested. There are research opportunities and industry opportunities in quantum that we can help connect you with. There's this new master's track currently available through physics, under development in other disciplines. And in the longer run, we're really hoping to develop this interdisciplinary master's degree that would pull from all disciplines and not sit in one of the departments. And at the end, I really hope to get some feedback from those of you in the room. What is it you would like to see? What is it you feel is missing? So keep that in mind as I go through these last couple of slides, so that when we get to the end, you can tell me what you think. And this is just our slide advertising that master's program, and Patrick showed that as well earlier. So for undergraduates, the same course is also available, and research and industry opportunities. And currently we're planning additional courses and a minor in quantum that would be an interdisciplinary minor, again, with probably an introductory 2-semester course, which would give you all of the basics with no significant prerequisites. So probably no math prerequisites or physics or any of those things, so that we can build in what you need to learn about quantum in them. But again, thinking about what would be useful to all of you as we do this would be great. And at K-12, this is some work that's getting underway. As I said, we recently got funding for this. We're working on curriculum development opportunities for teachers to engage with us to build quantum modules for their courses, experiential learning opportunities for students in research labs and industry, and experiential and professional development opportunities for teachers to engage them. Because one of the things that came up as we talked to students is that about 10% of them, where they'd heard about quantum first, was in their high school classes. So thinking about how we get that introduction and excitement built into the courses broadly is really important. So I'm just going to leave you with this quote from one of the students we talked to about inspiration, but open it up, because I would love to hear from all of you about how you got engaged in quantum, what you think would be useful to you going forward in terms of the educational pieces. And we'll stop there.
if you want to ask a question, maybe you can come closer to the house so I can hear you. You can come closer to the house. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jessica. I have a question like people think that they have to do PhD or at least get a PhD to do a lot of things in quantum. But you were saying that it's not mandatory. Can you put a light on that part?
Sure. So what we're hearing from the quantum industry, and let me go back to this figure just to show you, and this is some of the work that was done, not that one, I wanted the one from Dr. Bora worked on this as well, right? But here's where they think they're going to be hiring. And so if you looked at systems assembly maintenance technician, right? That's mostly bachelor's degree. Test measurement engineers is again, a lot of bachelor's. Technical sales and marketing, right? So there are also all of these things that are even more business side pieces as well, right? Product sales. Circuit designer is a mix of bachelor's and master's. And there's some PhDs as well, but again, for a lot of these different jobs, especially sort of towards the top of this list. And if you go to this paper, you can actually get more, read about it in more detail. Industry is really thinking, and reporting back at least that they plan to hire a significant fraction of the people in some of these areas at the bachelor's and master's level. Is that helpful?
And there are actually a surprising number of resources for finding jobs in quantum-related technology. Part of our center's goal is to help make sure you guys are familiar with those. So if you have interest, let us know. We can direct you to it.
If there are questions being asked, I cannot hear them. Maybe Fangyu, if you want to relay them or someone up at the mic, because I can't hear anything. It sounds like somebody's talking back there, but I can't tell.
No, Ming is talking and making comments.
I'm just making a comment. That class you mentioned a couple of times that also co-listed as a math if somebody wants to take a math credits. I have CI students come to us. We prefer to take a math credit instead of physics. That works perfectly fine. My class is co-listed as physics and math. And one more thing, actually, Jessica, you remind me, I have a question for you. I have a student, Thomas Jefferson, a high school student, and I think it's not only the undergrad, and you can start doing quantum computing at least. I think a high school student can do it. My question for you, Jessica, is if there's existing several venues to support the high school students, at this point, what's the best way I can refer the students to look at certain program to get started in summer?
We should talk about it. I'm currently figuring out the timeline for starting this project that I've mentioned. My hope is to be able to pilot it on a small scale this summer and then do most of it next summer. It's a little bit uncertain. I literally just got the first information about timeline yesterday. So we should be in touch and figure out what's going to make the most sense and how to manage that, but we may be able to support that this summer. We'll see. So to other faculty in the room too, if you think you're going to have quantum students this summer, let me know, and we can try to figure out how this program supports them as I said, it's, it's evolving very quickly. So I don't have a definite answer right now, but definitely let me know.
Any other questions from the audience? If you have any question, you can raise your hand on Zoom and we can enable you to talk.